have like hot sauce, so I put the hot sauce on the side just in case anybody doesn't like hot sauce.
Who's the restaurant?
Floriano's, it's the carniceria, the butcher shop there in town. So we're gonna start off, kind of have typical harvest breakfast, and we'll kind of, I think what I want to do, has anybody done kind of anything in the vineyard, sampled grapes, and we'll see what Brix level they're at, and we'll kind of talk about how we decide when to pick, when not to pick, and things like that. And then also we'll go look at the Grenache. We have a little acre or a little section of Grenache that's like grapevines right now, a little nursery that we're gonna plant up on the hill after everything goes dormant here.
Just above the sky is filled with galaxies and stars. I wonder how I made it here and how we came this far. Came this far.
And then try to pick grapes because they're completely different things. So they're not really looking for the same things.
When you're ready to pick, how hard is it? Is it a scheduling problem?
Yeah, you gotta schedule a little bit, but usually it's not too bad. You can get in there. Like, we'll usually have one crew. And I think in Santa Rita Hills, they have 15 and there's 10 vineyards that they manage. So usually some of the bigger vineyards get like 3 or 4 crews. Like when it rained really hard over at Rancho Santa Rosa, they had, what did you tell me? They had 7 crews going 24 hours a day. So 3 in the morning and then 4 at night, and then 3 in the morning and 4 at night, just to get, because it's 300 acres. It takes a long time to pick that. This year we were around 3/4 of a ton to a ton. So just yields across the board are just really low. So it's kind of frustrating when you go through and pick and then it's like, that's all I got. But the wine quality should be very good this year because the growing season was perfect. Like, this is the most easy, mellow growing season I've seen in 7 years here. They're, fruit ripened perfectly. I, usually have to pick Syrah in like mid-November. This year I'm picking it next week.
Wow.
Just because we've had great days like this. So if it freezes one time and kills that bud, then the next one will grow, and sometimes it has fruit, but it's like 4 weeks, 5 weeks behind everything else. So you'll go and we can walk down the road and you'll see that there'll be clusters still left there because when we were picking they were green. But now they've turned around and ripened. But the reality of the matter is there's probably 1/4 ton of that fruit through the whole entire vineyard. So there's not very much, but that's one of those things you have to be mindful of when you're picking, is to not pick second crop. And this is an Alban clone. This is an Australia clone. There's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different clones of Grenache. So what happens is,
You bought these as just little plants?
Yeah, so this is what it is. If everybody wants to come take a look at this. If you look, we'll go out and look in the vineyard, but it's basically on the cordon, the shoot comes up, and when we prune, you just cut it, and this is your cutting. And you can stick that in the ground and it'll grow next year. Grapevines are pretty crazy like that. But then it's called an own-rooted vine. Like, these are own-rooted. This is a clone of Grenache on its own rootstock. Out here in the vineyard where we have a lot of sand, there's nematodes. So what we do there is we put rootstock below it. So the rootstock is resistant to nematodes, but the top portion isn't. But the top portion is what we want. It's the fruit that we want to grow. It's not, if we were to grow rootstock fruit, it wouldn't taste very good at all. And dig all these up, and then we go up and plant them up on the hillside and stick them in the ground. And then next year it'll wake up in a different place. Like, it's like when you have kids or whatever, and they go to bed in one place and they wake up in another. It's like, how did I get here? But they don't care, and they just start doing their thing. So they'll start growing up there, and I think Santa Rita Hills is about 5 years. So this is year 1. Next year will be year 2, then 3 and 4 until it's actually ready to produce.
Wow. Produce no fruit or no usable fruit?
Not enough to be usable, not enough to really farm. That is the cost benefit thing. Like, we could farm it, but we'd get half of a box. It's not really worth it. And they're really not fruitful for a little while. They just really need to. You don't want them to be. You want them to focus on growing and getting a really strong root base, and then go from there. A lot of the mistake that people do when they graft something or plant it is to just pump it full of something to get it to start producing, and then you're setting it off to fail because it's at a disadvantage. It's really focusing on fruit when it should be focusing on growing itself. So.